After a while, a weariness sets in. In recent days, I've felt that weariness. You can only tread water for so long. Or maybe you are consumed with survival, keeping up with being your at-home teaching assistant while also trying to manage your own work and life responsibilities. We can be so consumed with survival that we don't realize how exhausted we are until we can't keep going any longer. I've been thinking about my life-saving classes. A long time ago, I needed these classes in order to qualify as a lifeguard. My first classes took place at the beach beside the lake in our small town. And before we would learn how to save another person who was in trouble, we had to learn how to save ourselves, how to survive in the water for as long as possible. We would swim out into the deep water and then tread water as our instructor timed us. The objective was to increase our ability to stay above the water. And we would tread water and periodically float on our backs to give our arms and legs some time to rest. We learned that once you're in the water, the distance to shore can be deceiving. And often swimmers get into trouble thinking they can swim to the other side only to discover that the other side is much further than it appeared. Now, if you asked any of us last March if we would still be treading water in December, what would we have said? I wasn't sure it's even possible to tread water this long. The weariness sets in, and not just a physical weariness, but emotionally, spiritually. There's a story from the Bible found in Mark's Gospel, chapter 5. A man named Jairus fell at the feet of Jesus, pleading for Jesus to rescue his daughter. See, his daughter was dying, and he was desperate. He tried everything else, and frankly, he was exhausted as he fell at the feet of Jesus. Please come with me and save her life, he said. So Jesus went with him. But on the way, he was distracted by a crowd of people. Jairus and his daughter weren't the only ones needing to be rescued. And a woman who had been suffering with an illness for 12 years reached out and touched Jesus' clothing. It too was a desperate act. And Jesus stopped to see who had touched him, and when he did, he rescued, he healed the woman who had been sick for 12 years. But the delay was long enough that Jairus' daughter died. Now, I too have daughters. And they haven't been sick with a life-threatening illness, but I would do anything to save them. I would seek out anyone to save them. And what relief, what hope in that moment when Jesus told Jairus that he would come and rescue his daughter. I can imagine how that would feel. But then to have Jesus' commitment to me interrupted by someone else, and in the process, my daughter had died, how do you deal with that? Except Jesus wasn't finished. The worst thing is never the last thing. Jesus was about to show Jairus and those of us who would hear this story 2,000 years later that Jesus has more to offer to those who need to be rescued. And Jesus said, Talitha Koum. The English translation is, young woman, get up. And what Jairus witnesses in that moment was not a rescue, but a resurrection. His daughter suddenly got up and began to walk. Her life was restored. Now, some of us need a resurrection, emotionally, spiritually. You can only tread water for so long, and when the weariness takes over, we need more than a rescue, we need resurrection. Parker Palmer, well-known author and educator, describes how a century ago Midwestern farmers used to run a rope from their house to the barn in case of a blizzard. They knew stories of people who had died in their own yards during a whiteout because they could not find their way home. And Palmer says what we need is a rope from the back door to the barn so we can find our way home again. And when we catch hold and attend to the soul, we can survive life's blizzard without losing our way. There's another word for such a rope. We even used it in our life-saving classes. It's called a lifeline. I have this app on my watch that keeps reminding me to breathe, to stop what I'm doing, and for 1 minute, just 1 minute, 60 seconds, focus on breathing. It's amazing what that 1 minute can do. Jairus was given a lifeline. His daughter was restored to life. Take a minute, 60 seconds to breathe. Breathe in the breath of life and let the creator of the universe restore you to life. It's amazing what a lifeline, what a deep breath can do. I'm Steve Richards, one of the pastors at Messiah Church in Plymouth, Minnesota. Hoping that you have a blessed week. God bless.